I'm Tracy. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I upcycle clothes and purses and accessories from just plain thrifted items and turn them into fun, edgy pieces. And today we're going to be working on sort of a summery boho leg and look top. And we're making it starting with just a plain white nightgown. And cotton white nightgowns are one of my favorite finds at a thrift store because you can do so much with it. And a girlfriend yesterday gave me a set of lace curtain valances that she didn't want anymore, and I'm going to use that too. Now I just want to say, I know a lot of people resell thrift items, and just think okay, so you have a cute white cotton nightgown, right? That would probably resell for a little bit, but just think if you could just add a little lace to the bottom, or if you took a pair of jeans and added a patch and ripped them a little, or bleached a flannel, like how much more money, like the tunic I'm about to make, like this dress cost me $4.99 and the curtains were free, but when I sold on eBay and Etsy for about 12 years, mostly eBay. And then before that, I had booth spaces that I rented and would set up and sell my things. So the tunic we're about to make would probably sell on eBay between $99 and $139. And it won't, I'll have this done in an hour. So if you could just learn let me know what you do. Do you watch these videos to make things for yourself? Do you resell? Do you want more tips on how I'm not an eBay, Etsy expert, but I did make a living at it for many years, and I could go more into the tips and tricks that I've learned along the way if you want to know that. So if you want to leave a comment in the section about what you're doing, or you want to learn how to sew these things, do you not have a sewing machine, do you love to sew, are you reselling? I'd love to know, really. It would help guide me to what you want to know. So let's get started. Okay, first I just want to show you a little close-up. This is really cute. It has these little textural dots, a little cap sleeve, a teeny bit of lace around the collar, some buttons. Sometimes I replace buttons like this with vintage mother of pearl buttons. This one I won't, but that's sort of what it looks like close up. It has this cute pleating, and that's what we're starting with. Okay, so this one I'm going to start by cutting it at a diagonal. I do a lot of high-low where it's higher in front and longer in back, and I think that's really flattering, but I've done a bunch of those. It's time to switch it up a little bit, I feel. So the first thing I did was I tried it on. And the bottom will be lace. And I don't want the lace anywhere like near my belly or anything because it'll be see-through. So I kind of marked where I wanted it so that I knew the lace would hit over my jeans or shorts or whatever I'm wearing. And so I went to the side seam, and from the armpit down on one side, I marked 11 inches. And then on the opposite side, from the armpit down, I marked 20 inches. And I just stuck a pin in there. And now it's time to cut it. Okay, here I have my nightgown laid out on the table. And it's kind of hard to see because my table is white. Maybe I need to paint it a different color because I use a lot of white. But anyway, hopefully you can see this okay. I just laid it flat out and lined the bottom up. And I have a pin over here that I marked and a pin over here. And I'm simply just going to cut it. You could line up a yardstick to those marks if you want to be exact. But, we're going to be sewing that edge, and it really doesn't matter if it's perfect. Okay. And then I'll save this bottom piece for another project because I just love lightweight cotton for projects. So this is what we have now. Okay, here's what it looks like cut. It's already cuter, I think. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to add some scrap pieces of lace down the front. I'll show you how I do that. Here are some scrap pieces of lace that I have. Basically, they're like doily remnants and remnants from like crochet tablecloths and things like that. And I want my decoration down the front of the shirt not to be super wide. This one will be a little more subtle, so I'm going to take like this piece of doily and I'll cut it not completely in half, but almost in half so that I can spread it out like this and lay it down. I want it to be sort of choppy and not uniform when I sew it on. So here's another piece, and that's too wide, so I'll do the same. I'll just kind of cut, not complete, oops, I went too high. Not completely in half, but just enough so that I can open that up. And let's see, I've got this one, and I'll probably just cut, you know, some pieces. You just do what you want. Use your imagination, you know, something about that size. And I'll just keep kind of playing with these and cutting out the pieces that I need. Okay, now I'm going back to my top, and I'm calling it a top now and not a nightgown because it's starting to resemble just like a fun, lightweight, summery top. And I love cotton. I get hot a lot, so I dress in layers and I try to dress in cotton. So anyway, I will just go to my machine. I will not pin these on. I will just take the whole stack and set it next to my machine, and I'll just alternate different lace pieces, and I will just start sewing it on. I'll start at the very top seam in front and sew next to this collar. Down along the buttonholes have a little side seam too. I don't want to get in the way of the buttons, so I'll sew next to that side seam, and then down underneath the seam and all the way down to the bottom. And I'll just kind of lay them out here to show you, give you an idea. Like I'll go like this as I'm sewing. Then I'll grab a different piece, and I'm sewing one edge of the lace first so that it's in the right position. And then this piece maybe I'll put like right there. And then when I get the one side sewn on, I'll go back up here and I'll just do this side. And I won't get real close to the edges because that will just flatten them. I like to see some texture and dimension. So simple, simple, right? So I'll go to my machine, and then down here underneath the buttons, I want them to connect. And I will just go sew those on. So cute. I'm at my machine, and the first thing I'm going to do is just pull off that front plate. Makes it easier to work. And I'll take the top and I'll slide the bottom in to underneath my needle and presser foot here, and I'll go find the top of one shoulder, just near that top seam. And I'll put my presser foot down, and I'll just kind of do a stitch and a back stitch to start. And I'm using a zigzag stitch. I feel like that secures lace a little better because lace is so gappy. And I will just pick up my presser foot now. I should have my needle down into my shirt. And I will just start sewing. This is kind of fun to do, actually. I love doing these kind of projects where I sew lace. It's so simple and just a lot of bang for your buck. It looks so cool when you're done. So I'll just keep sewing till I get all the way down to the bottom, and then I'll do the opposite side. I have one row of lace sewn on all the way to the bottom. Now I need to sew this one on, and it just works out easier for me to go to the bottom of my top this time and start there. It just fits in the machine easier this way. This is what the lace looks like all sewn on. Lace, crochet, whatever you want to call it. And I don't get hung up on matching colors. I love off-white and like ecru colors combined with white. I just think it gives it more of a vintage feel. Now we're going to start on the ruffle at the bottom. Okay, so I laid out part of this curtain valance, and this has scallops, which I love. And I want my lace at the bottom of the top to be about 8 inches, but I do not want it to be perfectly 8 inches. So I wouldn't even really measure this if I wasn't showing you. So I do want my ruffle to be approximately 8 inches. So I'll just hold my yardstick here and just sort of start cutting. Then I'll go to the bottom of this scallop and cut up to that. I hardly ever measure stuff unless I need something to fit a certain way and need to measure that way. But as far as designing, I don't really measure much. So there I have my ruffle, and I'll do that to the rest of the curtains and show you what I do. Here's the bottom of my top again, and I have my lace ruffles all cut out. Now, I have 3 pieces, and you can stitch these together before you start if you want. But I am not going to. I am going to, when I finish with one, I'll just overlap it and let there be a little gap. It's no big deal. If it was in an area, and this was solid, in an area where it would show skin or something, I would sew that together. But that'll just be kind of fun to have a little almost slit there. So how I will sew this is I will go to my machine. I am going to sew this on the outside, and I'll go up about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the top and just sew right over top. I'll slide this into my machine, opened up, of course. And then I always start on a side seam, and then I will stick this into my machine, put the needle down, and then put my lace in, and I'll do a zigzag stitch, and I'll just start stitching across. As I'm going, what I will do, this is the only little other detail I have to show you, is I need to just pinch pleat it a little bit so that we have a little dimension. I don't want a giant ruffle. If you do that really big, you'll get a big fluffy ruffle. And if you want that, great. But on this one, I want it a little more sophisticated. So I will just pinch pleat it maybe over 1/2 inch every 2 inches. Just a little bit. And I'll just keep going all the way around. At my machine, I have my front plate still off. I have the bottom, the side seam of my top using a white thread, zigzag stitch, and I'm just starting to pleat and sew around the edge or the bottom. Okay, I've gone all the way around. I have a little extra lace. I'll just snip that off. And this kind of lace doesn't like fall apart or fray when you cut it, and that's the beauty of it. You don't need to really hem it or do any special stitching. It just stays the way it is. All right, I'll throw this on the mannequin and show you what it looks like. Okay, isn't that beautiful? I tell you, tops like this were one of my top sellers when I sold. People just loved them. So I'm gonna go throw it on and show you what it looks like on a real person. Okay, here it is all finished. I put on some bell bottoms, some clogs, put some flowers in my hair. I love it. Wouldn't it be a cute swimsuit cover up too? All right, thank you guys so much for watching.